The mystery of Genesis. In the 5th chapter of Genesis, the Bible presents a sobering genealogy tracing the line from Adam to Noah. It functions as a historical ledger of mortality, concluding the account of almost every patriarch's life with a standard refrain of years lived and an inevitable burial. However, the rhythm breaks completely when it reaches the patriarch Enoch, the 12-word exception. Unlike his ancestors, Enoch does not receive a recorded death or burial. Instead, the canonical text offers a tantalizingly brief 12-word exception. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. The New Testament leaves this mystery locked, with the Epistle to the Hebrews merely reiterating that by faith Enoch was translated so that he would not see death. The ancient terminology implies a sudden removal, leaving his ultimate destination completely unstated. The lost Slavonic manuscripts. While the canonical Bible remains silent on where Enoch went, an ancient pseudepigraphal text provides an elaborate itinerary. Known to modern scholars as Second Enoch, this text was entirely lost to the Western world for centuries. It survived quietly in the East, preserved in old church Slavonic manuscripts, painstakingly copied by medieval monks across Russia and the Balkans, remaining completely unread in the West until the late 19th century. Resurfacing in the West. The book's journey back into Western consciousness began in 1880 when Russian scholar Alexander Popov published a Slavonic manuscript detailing Enoch's heavenly secrets. 16 years later, in 1896, Oxford Slavonicist William Morfill and biblical scholar R.H. Charles translated it into English as The Book of the Secrets of Enoch. Initially, skeptics dismissed the text as a late medieval forgery due to the lack of early manuscripts. Validation in the Egyptian desert. The forgery theory was shattered in the early 1970s during excavations at Qasr Ibrim in Nubia, high up the Nile River. Archaeologists unearthed ancient text fragments that scholar Joost Hagen identified in 2009 as belonging to this exact book. Written in Coptic and dating centuries older than any Slavonic copy, the discovery proved the work was genuinely ancient. Most scholars now believe the core text was composed in Greek by a Jewish author in Alexandria during the 1st century AD, prior to the destruction of the Jerusalem Temple in 70 AD. The Celestial Awakening. The narrative of Second Enoch begins intimately in the patriarch's bedroom. At the age of 365, Enoch is awakened by two enormously tall celestial beings whose faces shine brilliantly like the sun. They place the aging patriarch upon their wings and carry him away from the earthly realm, initiating an ascent through a complex, multi-tiered cosmos. The first heaven. The weather warehouse. The angels bring Enoch to the first heaven, which resembles a colossal celestial warehouse suspended over a vast sea. Here, Enoch meets the 200 angels who govern the stellar orders and keep the stars on their nightly courses. More notably, this level houses the physical treasuries of Earth's weather, sealed chambers holding snow, ice, clouds, and morning dew, all meticulously guarded until God commands their release. The second heaven. The gloom of the fallen. Ascending to the second heaven, Enoch finds a stark contrast to the orderly storehouses below. This level is defined by an absolute, terrifying darkness. Suspended in the gloom are weeping prisoners, former angels who once stood in God's direct service but rebelled to follow their own wills. Recognizing Enoch as a living human under divine escort, these condemned spirits desperately beg him to pray for them. A mortal's helplessness. Frightened by the weeping giants, Enoch responds with profound vulnerability, asking, "Who am I, a mortal man, that I should pray for angels?" At this point in his journey, He has no idea where he is going or that he will eventually acquire the unique divine standing required to do exactly what these fallen beings are asking of him. The third heaven, paradise and torture. The third heaven presents an unsettling paradox, split clean down the middle. On one side lies the Garden of Eden, a breathtaking paradise thick with the scent of ripe fruit and flowering trees. At its center stands the tree of life, where God rests during visits, feeding 4 perpetual streams of honey, milk, oil, and wine. 300 radiant angels guard this paradise, which is explicitly prepared for the righteous. The north side of Eden. When Enoch's guides turn him toward the northern quadrant of the very same third heaven, paradise instantly gives way to hell. A few steps away lies a country of unyielding torture, characterized by black fire, a river of flames, brutal ice dungeons, and merciless punishing angels. In a flat, indifferent tone, the guides explain that this harrowing domain is prepared for those who dishonor God, placing heaven and hell a mere turn of the head apart. The fourth heaven, the solar machinery. The fourth heaven serves as the grand observatory of the cosmos, detailing the precise solar and lunar tracks. Enoch watches the literal machinery of the day. The sun is dragged across the sky by 15 myriads of angels and monstrous 12-winged creatures called phoenixes and chalkidri, beasts with crocodile heads and lion tails. Every evening the sun's burning crown is removed and taken up to God to be renewed before the next dawn. The fifth heaven, the silent watchers. Silence dominates the fifth heaven. Here, Enoch encounters a massive host of silent giant soldiers known as the Grigori, or the Watchers. These specific entities did not descend to earth to father the Nephilim, yet they stand with withered faces and shut mouths, paralyzed by grief over their fallen brothers. In an astonishing reversal of cosmic hierarchy, the mortal Enoch rebukes them for their silence, commanding them to resume their heavenly service. The Watchers obey, blowing 4 trumpets and breaking their long silence with praise. The sixth heaven, the cosmic managers. The sixth heaven nearly blinds Enoch with its sheer brilliance. It is inhabited by 7 identical bands of angels whose faces outshine the sun. These beings act as the primary managers of the universe, governing the seasons, the oceans, the vegetation, and the rotation of the stars. Crucially, some of these angels are assigned to individual human souls, recording every action of human life to present directly before God. The seventh heaven and the archangel Gabriel. The 2 giant guides bring Enoch to the threshold of the 7th heaven, but stop, unable to cross their own cosmic ceiling. Left alone and trembling in terror before the distant fiery throne of God, Enoch expects to die. Instead, the Lord dispatches the archangel Gabriel, who gently lifts the patriarch and commands him to stand before the divine face forever. Transmutation into a glorious one. At the throne, God commands the archangel Michael to strip Enoch of his earthly garments, anoint him with holy myrrh-scented oil, and clothe him in vestments of glory. Looking down at his new form, Enoch realizes his physical body has completely shifted. He has become entirely indistinguishable from the glorious angels. The man who skipped death in Genesis has officially ceased to be human. The 366 books of creation. In a privilege never granted to any angel, God seats the transformed Enoch beside him and explains the secrets of creation from the inside out, detailing the 7 days of making the universe and fashioning Adam. Enoch is then handed a reed pen by Vrevo, the quickest of the archangels in wisdom, and dictates everything without a break for 30 days and nights, filling 366 books. Enoch is granted a brief 30-day furlough back to earth solely to pass these books to his sons before his permanent assumption. the Metatron evolution, and the strange Melchizedek epilogue. In later Hebrew traditions, such as 3rd Enoch, this transformed patriarch evolves into Metatron, the supreme angel behind the throne, occasionally called the Lesser Lord, a figure so powerful that the Talmud notes ancient rabbis warned against viewing him as a second deity. Curiously, 2nd Enoch does not end with his departure, but concludes with a bizarre epilogue regarding Noah's brother, Ner. Ner's elderly wife miraculously conceives without intimacy and dies of shame, only for a 3-year-old child named Melchizedek to climb from her corpse, already speaking and bearing the badge of priesthood. Before the deluge destroys the earth, Gabriel whisks this miraculous child away to Eden, ensuring the divine priesthood survives the coming flood.